Welcome to the Biz Easy podcast, where small business is simplified for greater results. Brought to you by Resources and Development. Go to www.resources-development.com for help in taking your business to the next level. And now, help me welcome the host of the Biz Easy podcast, Steve McCrillis.
Welcome to the Biz Easy podcast, coming to you from the small business capital of America, right here in Middle South, where all the bugs go in the summertime, while reaching across the globe, translated in English for your listening pleasure. I just added that in there. The Biz Easy Network, your resource to help take your business to the next level. Also, stay tuned after the podcast and receive your free Biz Easy business tool gift. My name is Steve, your host, as we all learn how to stay better focused on the things that make your business great. Now, don't forget, our book is available on Amazon. I say it every time. I'm not going to stop saying it. Isn't it time your business becomes Biz Easy? If you enjoy the podcast, you'll love the book. If you love the book, you should probably be watching the podcast. Of course, you wouldn't know about the book unless I told you about it in the podcast. Now, I'd like to introduce you to my partner and our resident guru of coaching, our lead business coach, Skip Williams.
Hey, Steve, how you doing today?
Good. Before I go any further, I have to tell you, it's clear that I have a word limit today.
Well, I think you are getting
all the words in.
You're getting over a cold, so you're doing really, really well. So
yeah, there you go.
So, Steve, I'm a little worried about this monkeypox that's going around. Some friends have it. I thought it was a hoax, but then I saw their face. Now I'm a believer.
That turned out much better than I even thought it would. Okay, so as a new addition to each of our podcasts, we're going to be adding a little jingle.
You don't want Skip to sing more than 2 or 3 words, believe me.
Oh, gosh. Now I'm a believer. Oh, gosh. What's on the agenda today, Skip? Tell us true.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about right sizing and the locating of your business.
Oh, for those of you who decided to get into business for yourself, here are some helpful hints.
Right. There's lots of constraints and issues that you need to determine during that startup phases of your business. Money and time being the obvious ones, and these 2 issues affect most of the others as well. Many businesses, such as software development, construction trades, professional services, can start small and then grow larger without much disruption to their business. But especially when you're building a brick and mortar location like a restaurant or a retail location, spas, salons, convenience stores, particularly when there's a lease involved, making it the right size is crucial.
I suspect that this is where you're going to start giving us advice once you set up the premise.
Okay, here's a piece of advice that I've given often. You don't build a church for Easter Sunday, nor do you build a restaurant for 3 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon. If you build it too big, you may never have enough business to offset the overhead that you've created. And if you build it too small, you'll never have enough capacity to offset your overhead. And I think about it. If you're a hairstylist, you have one chair, you're doing all the hair cutting, you may not make good money, but you've limited future growth because you're finite capacity. So instead, you decide to make a multi-chair facility where you can employ several stylists while you focus on marketing and filling those chairs. The first variable you need to overcome is the increased cost of the facility, which will dramatically increase the monthly rent and other expenses.
Well, that's what you talked about at the beginning. Watch your overhead right out of the blocks, right? And this is worth restating. You don't build a church for Easter Sunday. You don't build a restaurant for 3 p.m. on Tuesday.
Right. So the second. So we really have to watch our overhead and make sure we can get enough traffic in there to offset that. The second consideration is the reduced amount per service that you'll enjoy, which is probably 30 to 40% of the full price. This means that you'll need to do roughly 3 times as many customers a day to make the same money that you would have made as a solo practitioner hairstylist.
Mm-hmm.
But let's not forget that we've increased our overhead, rent, utilities, accounting, and insurance, and so on. So perhaps the number is closer to 4 times as many services performed per day, or 4 employees with 4 chairs to have a similar bottom line. If we want to have room to grow, then we need it even larger.
So this you presented both scenarios where you want to do it yourself and then where you want to grow. So now what?
Yeah, that jump from single practitioner to having employees involved is a big step. So, but here's another consideration. In the market, is the market large enough, and are your marketing skills good enough to fill that minimum capacity? Do you have enough monetary resources to build a salon that size? If you don't have that kind of capital or don't know where those customers will come from, then your vision is not viable. And we need to go back to the drawing board and re-envision our business model. This may be a good time to talk about location as well. Location is where franchise businesses seem to beat the sole proprietor businesses quite often. Those ideal locations are always much more expensive than just any spot in the strip mall. And when it's our own startup and our own money, we tend to preserve cash and go for the bargain.
So in selecting the right location, which is what you're pointing out now, you decide you go out, you're going to have a brick and mortar. This is the place to do. These are the ideas. These are the next factors that you should consider when looking at that location.
Well, right, but yeah, it takes some research to figure out what is the right location, and like I said, franchises have people dedicated to helping you select those locations. So be very careful. I always say it's cheaper to build an expensive sign than it is to do marketing every week.
Oh,
so that exposure from the street exposure, it can be critical. So selecting the right location for the business is a critical decision that can significantly impact its success. Here are key factors to consider when determining a location for a business. Understanding your target market. How close or what is the proximity to customers and suppliers? Is there competition in your area? Accessibility and visibility, as we said before, that you can get that street visibility. The costs, of course, are going to be an important factor in everything as well. It can be drastically different to build in one location than another. Regulations and zoning. That little homework with the town hall or city hall may be helpful there. Infrastructure and utilities. Making sure you've got the available utilities that you're going to need to power whatever you need to power. Labor pool and talent. Is there a labor pool in the area or access to it? The quality of life for employees. Is the location make it comfortable for employees to go there? That makes it easier to recruit them in the first place. Go ahead.
Don't mean to interrupt you, Skip. When you talk about quality of life for employees and considering a location, what would be a consideration there? What would be a bad location? What would be a good location in that scenario?
Well, once again, just emphasize that that can be a recruitment tool and also a tool to get longevity from those employees too. If that location is an attractive location, they can find parking. The cost of living in that area is good. Schools for their kids and so forth. So if we can have that available to our employees, it makes it much easier for them to work for us.
Kind of like Primm, Nevada.
Yeah, exactly. Nice place.
For those of you who have traveled from California to Las Vegas, there's a small town right over the border in Nevada. It's called Primm. It's about 45, 50 minutes outside of Las Vegas. And it's just a town, and all there is retail.
Oh, no,
and casinos.
Yeah, nobody lives there. There's 3 casinos and retail, so you have to drive 40 miles to get there. So another thing is market trends and growth potential. Take a look at the area and make sure that there is growth potential. Infrastructure development plans. Understand whether there's a new highway going to be coming through there soon, or which could be good or bad, right? It could bring you more traffic, or it could interrupt your business for the first year while things are under construction, and you may not be able to withstand that during your first year or two of business.
Sure.
Cultural and social factors. Social aspects of a location ensure alignment with your brand and values. Risk assessment, evaluate the potential risk of natural disasters or political instability. The crime rate, of course, is very important. So develop contingency plans for that. Future expansion opportunities, understand whether you will be able to expand where you're at or whether you're going to have to move if you need to expand. Technology infrastructure, make sure that it has the services available technology-wise that your business is going to need.
Yeah.
Off-grid is great, but it's probably not too great for a business, So taking time to carefully consider these factors to help you make an informed decision about the best location for your new business, setting the stage for long-term success. And I hope this helps our startup readers, and I'll be the guy crammed in sitting next to you on Easter Sunday.
And I'll meet you for lunch at 3:00 on Tuesday.
There we go. Sounds good.
A cautionary tale, and I'm going to give a little personal experience here. As you go through this list, I was looking for a location. I was going to open my own business, one of the first businesses I had ever owned. And it was in a completely different state, different part of the country. And I decided I was going to move. So to be honest, it was a coffee and bagel shop. So had I have really studied this sort of an overview, what you should really consider while doing that, it would have been infinitely more beneficial to me, because the location that I was shown, there was going to be, as you talk about infrastructure development plans, there was going to be a hospital built a block away. Now I think about a coffee and a bagel shop. What a perfect place near a hospital that was coming in. Well, the hospital was ready to break ground, and this development, this retail development had just been completed. And I thought, man, I'm on ground zero here. This is perfect. I no sooner opened my doors and they bagged the plan for the hospital. So I guess I should have gotten greater assurance. I would have picked a completely different location. So that really is important. What's going on in the area? What's happening in that area? Is it attract your kind of a market area? Is there kind of people for that? And the other aspect that I had not considered greatly is it was a coffee. I said coffee and bagel shop, right? Well, I was in a predominantly LDS community. If you don't know LDS, it's Mormon community, and they don't drink coffee. So as an overview of half of my product line, I wasn't even going to be sold. So there's another great consideration. Even I thought I had this thing in the bag, but needless to say, I did not. Nevertheless, I think this is a great list. And I also want to defer you to our website, resources-development.com, and you can pick up all of these 15 little tips that Skip just went through, enumerated for your reading pleasure on our website under the blog, right sizing and locating your business. Anything else you'd like to add to that, Skip?
Yeah, I think your illustration was really good. And you did take a lot of those things into consideration, but all it takes is one of those things to dash your plans against the rocks, right?
That's exactly the rocks of despair. In fact, I use this story often when I talk about planning, when I talk about how you're building your business and how you should plan for all the contingencies, well, as much as you can and physically possible. But when you're so excited and so thrilled about opening your new venture and you are waiting for the doors open, people to pour in, your tends towards confirmation bias. And what I mean, I've said this before on our podcast. What that means is all you're going to do is you're going to look for things that will support your original premise. This is a great idea, a great place, a great product, and you're going to have great customers.
Yeah,
Be
we're all
careful not
guilty
to
of that.
fall into that trap.
We were all guilty of that, and it's a really easy trap to fall into. 12 people told you that they love your product or your business idea doesn't mean that the masses will, right?
Absolutely true. I overlooked the two most important things. And just on a side note, one of the things was coffee and the contingency in the area. And the other thing was bagels. Well, it opened at a time, I don't know if anybody follows fad diets, but one of the diets that was real popular then was the Atkins diet. Now, if you know anything about the Atkins diet, it basically bans all carbs. And when I say a bagel shop, not eating carbs. So that went over really well, as you would imagine. I struggled through it. Things did what they did. My employees were happy. My Customers were happy, but it didn't last terribly long. Nevertheless, it was a lesson well learned. Now, we also, to illustrate how the content today has impacted a real business in business today and what helped them navigate success using principles we talked about today, listen to the story. But keep in mind, this is a real company still in existence, and it came from humble beginnings like much of you. Take a listen, take a read, take a watch this story.
Well, let's roll film.
A real life example of a company that built their business too large and prevented themselves from being as successful is WeWork. WeWork, founded in 2010 by Adam Newman and Miguel McKelvey, started as a shared workspace company that aimed to revolutionize the way people work by offering flexible work office spaces and a sense of community for freelancers, startups, and businesses. By 2019, WeWork had become one of the most valuable private companies in the world, with a valuation of $47 billion. WeWork's strategy focused on rapid growth and aggressive expansion, which ultimately led to its downfall. The company's growth strategy involved leasing large amounts of office space in prime locations worldwide and converting them into trendy, open-plan workspaces. However, three key factors contributed to WeWork's overexpansion. Number one, over-leveraging on long-term leases. Two, excessive spending. WeWork spent heavily on renovating spaces and providing amenities to create a unique and attractive office environment. Three, uncontrolled expansion. WeWork expanded rapidly across the globe, entering new markets without fully understanding local demand and regulatory environments. By mid-2019, it became evident that WeWork's aggressive expansion and unsustainable business model were leading to significant financial problems. One, despite its rapid growth and high valuation, WeWork was losing money at an alarming rate. In 2018, the company reported a net loss of $1.9 billion on revenue of $1.8 billion. Two, in August 2019, WeWork filed for an initial public offering, an IPO. However, the filing revealed deep financial issues, including massive losses. Thus, the company's valuation plummeted from $47 billion to less than $10 billion almost overnight. Number three, following the failed IPO and increasing scrutiny, CEO Adam Newman resigned under pressure. This included laying off thousands of employees, closing underperforming locations, and selling off non-core businesses. WeWork's story is a compelling example of a company that expanded too quickly and built its business too large, ultimately preventing it from achieving sustainable success. The company's focus on rapid growth and aggressive expansion, combined with fixed high costs and a risky business model, led to financial instability and a dramatic downfall. WeWork's experience highlights the importance of controlled, sustainable growth and the risks associated with overexpansion, particularly in businesses with high fixed costs and long-term financial commitments. And they hope to inspire others with their story and their work, and they believe that nothing is impossible, as do we, without passion and perseverance.
Oh, I think the story is an interesting one, Steve. I remember having some meetings at a WeWork at one time, and I'm going, this is really convenient for me, but I'm not sure how it can stay in business.
This is terrible. I should probably know this right now. They are still in business on a limited scale, but they still, nevertheless, are they in chapter? Do we know this?
I don't know. I assume that they died a slow and painful death, but I could be wrong.
I think we should know this, actually. No, they're still listed, so I think that they are still in existence. But again, that is more of a cautionary tale. And I think as you listen to some of the points that they brought up about overexpansion and about putting too much money into the workspaces, and they just overspent and they just overexpanded too quickly. I think that was really what I took away from it. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just as big a sin, if not bigger, to build it too large than it is to build it too small. But neither one of those, too big or too small, will not get you where you need to go. You've got to build it the right size, and you've got to build at a pace that doesn't put you in jeopardy should something go sideways.
It's funny. We tried to consult with WeWork and we gave them all 15 of these things and they just refused to listen. So, bad on them. Anyway, I think it's time that we give up the free gift that you received today for listening to us low these 20 minutes. Skip, you want to roll that clip?
Let's roll it.
This week's free gift is our lease negotiator. Now, this tool is designed to help you determine the best deal when considering several lease options for available real estate space for your business and or office. Now, we all know how important planning is, especially when it comes to planning for profit. To ensure that you are planning for the best financial terms and prices when considering a lease, this tool can facilitate that process. Now, let's let Skip show us around the tool.
Hey, thanks, Steve. I hope everybody finds this helpful if they're in the stages of lease negotiations. It can be used one of two ways. We've got a Model A and a Model B. You can use Model A and B to compare two different properties and two different landlords' offers to you, or you can use it for putting the offer of a landlord in Model A and then maybe tweaking those numbers in Model B so you can compare them side by side. So in this particular case, we changed the rent from $50 a square foot per year to $48 per square foot per year. We also changed the tenant improvement that the landlord will contribute from $5 a foot to $3.50 a foot. We also need to take into account the rent increases as well as the triple net increases, right? So basically, you just put in the month that each of the increases is going to happen, and how much and what percentage it will increase, both for the triple net as well as the rent, side by side, and it'll tell you which model is best. In this case, Model B. But it will also show you kind of side by side, month by month. And you remember that 5% increase we put in month 13, our rent went up, our triple net went up in both models here. And you can see them side by side, month by month. So you can kind of look at it throughout the term of the lease. This thing works for up to 120 months. That's 10 years. And we hope that it's very, very helpful to you. Bottom line is right here. What is the best model for us to use over the lifetime of the lease? Thanks, Steve.
Skip, well, you sounded like Henry Ford there for a minute, but it's Model A and Model T. No, just kidding. Once again, the inputs are minimal, but the outputs are quite powerful. Now, this tool has been very valuable to help you consider which, if you have several options to consider when getting a real estate lease. Now, we hope this makes your business a little more predictable and profitable. And the way to get your free copy of the Lease Negotiator today is to go to the products page at resources-development.com and use the coupon code LEASE, LEASE, to get yours absolutely free. Now, this product is a $29.95 value that you will receive free today for listening to us. Our gift to help your life become biz easier. Now, that's an exciting gift, and I have to thank Skip once again for going through all the trouble of putting the tools together, being able to provide you with these things, and they are quite expensive on the website, but you can receive those free of charge using the code that has been provided in this podcast. Anyway, if I am talking too fast, too loud today, I apologize. It's just coming out of a bout with COVID, kind of losing my voice, so I have to get all my words in before I lose it completely.
Let's wrap it up before you do there, Steve.
There you go. And with that,
that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Thanks for listening to today's Biz Easy podcast. If you enjoyed our broadcast, we would kindly ask you to like, subscribe, and share with other entrepreneurs. See you next time on the Biz Easy podcast, where business is simplified for greater results.